This video is brought to you by Auxbeam. I'm looking straight at the top of the cab where I mounted that 12-inch light bar. I like it. That thing is impressive. It's high output, wide dispersion. It's going to give me light out here on the ground, really nice light out here about this far away from the combine. I'm excited about it. And I've got the front end of this combine lit up really well. We've got the other 3 pod lights right over here. Got them aimed so that they're showing me the cutter bar down here. I've got 5 more pods, 3 right up here. I've got them tilted and slanted to come out this way, and 2 more little ones down here. Those 8 pods have got this cutter bar and reel just lit up. It's like daytime. And with that 12-inch Auxbeam up there on the front, it's awesome. Auxbeam came through. They've provided a 12% discount coupon. I've got it in the email, and I'm going to link it up in this video. So you can go to their, and I'll give you their website. They've got a website that you can go straight to and order from. But there's a 12% discount coupon that they've offered for all the people that are watching this video series on the Auxbeam products. Now, I'll show you what's left to do as far as upgrading the combine. That's 2 of the original OEMs that are left up there. And I've got them isolated right now on a separate circuit for what I want to do. I want to put one of these little smaller pods up high, pointing back down into the tank. Why? I want to be able to see what the auger is doing that's dropping beans into the tank. You got to keep an eye on all the different mechanical aspects of a combine, because one little element in the system can stop working and it'll make a huge mess if you don't catch it in the nick of time. Now, the other light, I want to figure out how to mount it so that it is showing me what's going on with this auger. And I had an idea about, instead of having that light to do that for me, I would come over here and mount some lights up here on this box. But that got kind of annoying. The wiring would have to go all the way down here on the chassis and come back up at the hinge point, because these running lights here, believe it or not, that wire doesn't just go from the electrical system here to there. It is required, because of the tilt lift bed, to come all the way back here to the hinge point, and then you've got to secure it so it doesn't get trapped in there, and then comes back up to here. Alright, that's annoying to have to wire that thing like that. The second thing that I thought would be annoying is, okay, now I got to pull the combine up beside the truck to make my dump. I got to get out of the combine and come over to the truck and turn on the light. And I said, nah, keep all the lights over here on the combine. So I'm moving forward with that idea. Now, that's a flasher light. And as I mentioned in an earlier video on this series, I don't get on the highway with this combine. I farm this little farm right here, and I don't go down the highway, so don't need a flasher light. And there's one on each side. That one's still intact. The one over on this side got busted. It got hit by a tree limb or something, but I've isolated the circuit for those. And I don't know yet exactly what kind of light I'm going to put, but the final light, so that you can run this machine at night and be able to see everything that you need to see to make sure that all the different components of this machine are functioning, I need to be able to see debris coming out of here. And in the daytime, it's pretty doggone difficult, because my homemade mirror system don't work too good. And sometimes I find myself standing up in the cab, twisting my neck backwards to see out that back window and see debris coming out of this straw chopper. This thing can get plugged up back here, and the straw walkers in this part of the combine, if this gets plugged, they're going to keep right on pushing straw and debris into it, kind of similar to a hay baler, except what's going to happen when that occurs, and it's already happened once, and I got a tear right there, you're going to push the back end of the combine off. That's major devastation. So need to be able to see that. The critical points on this combine, you got to see where the head's at. That's John Deere 213 rigid head, and you got to keep an eye on it, because if you've got uneven inconsistencies out there in your field, or fire ants, and I'm mostly fire ants. This year I didn't have any major ruts from erosion, so that's not going to be an issue. But the fire ant mounds out there can be that tall. You've got to see them. You don't want them in the combine with you. You need to be able to see what's going on up here in the tank, as I was talking about, and you need to be able to see what's going on back here in the back of the combine. So I'm prodding on along with this project, and I'm thinking about showing you how easy it is to do that conversion. John Deere, both on the 4020 and this, they did the same thing. They used a frame ground, or in auto world might be called chassis ground. They did not pull wires. On the Ford tractor, I did not use frame ground. When I put the LEDs on that, I pulled all my wires central back to the negative post on the battery. Of course, negative post on the battery is grounded to the block of the engine. This 4020, when I put all the lights on it, they had used frame ground, but there was a big problem with that. Part of that frame ground says that this fender mount had better be good and solid to that axle. And let me see, cousin and I, when he was teaching me how to operate a plow, we found out that the tires were set out too far, and we moved the tires in to get the plow to line up right. And we got to looking at the way the tractor looked, and just decided for the heck of it to move these fenders. These large bolts go in these slots. Now if you look at that slot right there, we moved the fenders out one slot. And when we did that, we destroyed the ground continuity, connectivity between this and this. And that's when I started having a bunch of issues with the OEM lights that were in here, because they were using frame ground. Well, these are LEDs. I did a major upgrade on this tractor, and I said, no, I'm not depending on that. And I pull my ground wires, and you probably look at this and go, that's ridiculous, I don't care, but it's solid. Every one of these blue wires is a ground wire. I bunched them all in here and connected it to the battery right there. There was an afterthought, an addition of one more. I didn't want to undo all that, so I brought it here. The battery here is frame ground up here to the starter, which is the critical high current device on this tractor. Now, fuse links, they're hidden back here. John Deere uses a resettable breaker, which means if something happens in the wiring on the tractor, it trips the breaker. For you to reset the breaker, you need to turn the tractor off, turn the key off. If the tractor's wired the way this one was wired, that will take the voltage off of these breakers in here, and the breaker will reset itself, unless it's been damaged to the point of doesn't function right anymore. And when I was doing all these lights on this tractor, LED lights are extremely low current. I mean, they're about half. The original light in here pulled to 2.7 amps, 2.7 amps, 2.7 amps. That LED light right there pulls 1.5, 1.5. Same on the other side. These up here, that bar, it pulls 1.7, and I got two of them there. Now, if I had just relied on the breakers in here, they're 20 amp breakers. If something had gone a little wrong out here, before that breaker had ever tripped, this would have been totally destroyed. So I decided to bypass that, and aside from that, all the wiring on this tractor was trash. It was really messed up. So I came down here with two different circuits and put fuse links in them right here. And one of them's a 20 amp, and one of them is, no, excuse me, I take that back. One of them is a 12 amp, and one of them is a 7.5 amp. And I've got the front lights here on this fender here, and this little mistake, this thing's too small, it really doesn't add much to the show, on the same circuit. They're fused safely. And then I've got these two in the back on the same circuit, and they're fused safely. Wiring on your farm equipment, there's one tool that if you don't have it, don't attempt any of this. And it's called a multimeter, and they are not expensive. The one that I've been using to accomplish all of this and all of that, I think it cost me $8 at Harbor Freight, but it's got every function on it that you need. Anyhow, that's what's going on here with all this LED upgrade stuff, and I sure do like these LED lights. Everybody, thanks a bunch. Oh, wait a minute, one more thing I wanted to show you. Y'all saw a video not so long ago. Let me climb up here. There. Now, I'm looking at it right there. That's right here was the disconnect I put on here because of a couple of really scary, freaky things that happened on this with the electrical. And you can pull that right there, and you're disconnected. Now, something I thought about while I was wiring up all these LED lights and wanting to know exactly how much current they pull. With a good multimeter, you'll have a 10 amp DC test circuit, which means it reads up to 10 amps. This was so simple with this. If I connect one lead right here and then one lead here, I've put the amp meter in series with the source. I've got a multitude of different switches in here. Turn on the light, read the amp meter, and I see exactly how much DC current is being pulled from the battery. Flip it all around with and check each circuit, and then I'll know exactly what each circuit is pulling. Right now I've got 3 circuits. There'll be 5 circuits when I do that over there and that over there. Right now the total load with all the lights on is right at 7.5 amps. It's asking the battery to put out 7.5 amps. Of course, with the combine running, the alternator is actually going to take over that and provide that current. Now, some research. That's a small alternator. It's 55 amp output. Wow, seems like I've still got plenty of capacity. They make an upgrade that's 80 amps. Don't think I'm going to need it. Now, I know this alternator is good because with the combine not running, which means alternator's not putting out, check your battery voltage. Now, this is a brand new battery I bought 3-4 months ago. About 2 months ago, really. And the voltage on this battery right now is 12.9 volts. That's pretty much like a brand new battery would be. But when you crank the engine and start spinning the power generation source, which in this case is an alternator, you can expect that voltage to go up depending on how the voltage regulator has been set on the alternator. I like to leave them alone. What you would expect to see over here is about 14.5 volts. I've got into conversations with people that like to dial these things way up and get them up here to about 18 volts. I disagree with that for reasons of making my battery last longer. So, quick and simple test with your multimeter. Check your battery, record that voltage. If you've got a good battery, it's going to be 12.8, 12.9 volts. And to check it, you just get across the 2 terminals here. Then, crank your engine. Your alternator is turning. Come back to the same 2 points and check it. And if you're above 14 volts, your alternator is putting out sufficiently. It's just that simple. If you're going to change out your lights from your old style OEM, don't really worry about your alternator, because if you're headed towards LED lights, you're going to take and reduce the demand dramatically. Love these LEDs. Can't think of enough good things to say about them. Thank you, Auxbeam. Thank you very much for providing me with these LED lights. There's a close-up view of that. Somebody's going to say, you didn't mount it in the center. Yep, that's right, I didn't. I moved it over a bit. I wanted to take advantage of that hole that was already there, and I moved it over this way because in this series combine, the cab is not dead center of the reel, and it turned out just that little bit of moving it over with this super wide beam coming off of this Auxbeam light. I got plenty of light out here in front of this. Worked out great. Well, I think I'll put my toys up now. Go in and see what's for dinner. I've had a fun day. Hope everybody's enjoyed their day. Let's put this door back down, and we'll put this combine back up there under the shelter. So happy about finding that squeak and realizing why I have a squeak down there. That's great. Oh, wait a minute. That would be really annoying. Get in the combine and want to crank it, and that little switch be open and it wouldn't crank, and I'd have to come back out here and mess with that. Oh yeah, something else. When you put a battery disconnect on your machine, it's real easy when you have that multimeter with that 10 amp DC current circuit. Open that switch. Everything's turned off. Connect your multimeter across there, and if you've got any current flow whatsoever, any, 0.03, you've got something in your combine draining your battery. Go find it. Let's see, do we fall down or get down? I'm gonna hope for get down. That hurt. Okay, we got down, didn't fall. That's good. All right. Thinking probably we got some weather coming in. I need cold weather. Cold weather is what's gonna get those pods right that I was talking about. I don't know whether that was in this video or the video before. When you're out here shooting video and you're kind of thinking how you're going to edit it together, and you're thinking two different videos at the same time, you can get a little bit jumbled up in your mind. But we'll get there. Everybody, again, thanks for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing and making this wonderful LED upgrade the reality that it's become for me. Bye, y'all.